Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Andrew Yang, and we're going to talk about how the movie Last Christmas shows that Gen Z and boomers and Andrew Yang may need to accept that not voting is a very, very reasonable response from millennials. Okay, let's get into this. So, before I go a step further, this content contains spoilers for the 2019 movie Last Christmas, starring Emilia Clarke and Henry Golding. All right. Okay, so just a quick warning to young people who are, I'll say this: I'm a husband, right? And I have a wife. And that particular structure comes with an occupational hazard that is called romance movies. I have seen far more romance movies than I choose to watch, that I would have chosen to see on my own, right? Now, I have gotten trapped in a lot of romance movies that I've been watching. I have seen easily half of the Jane Austen movies that have been made, right? And on my own, I would have chosen to see zero, right? But I'll tell you right now, I absolutely loved the movie Last Christmas. This was the best romance movie of 2019, by far. It is a 5 out of 5 star movie. Andrew Yang is a 5 out of 5 star leader. Last Christmas is a 5 out of 5 star movie. I loved this movie. Absolutely loved it. It's incredibly well executed. It's beautifully shot. The acting from Emilia Clarke and Henry Golding is flawless. It is an incredible film, and I walked out of that movie thinking in 15 different directions, right? I'm just going to talk about one direction today that, I'm not going to talk about One Direction today. I've never seen any of their songs, but I'm just going to talk about One Direction of what this movie made me think about and what it really exposed about the 2020 election, about the obstacle that Andrew Yang has to overcome with millennials, and millennials at the macro level really not voting. I think at the macro level, I don't think 51% of millennials vote, right? So at the macro level, millennials are non-voters. That's a Scott Garibay statement. If you can prove me wrong, please bring the numbers, but I'm pretty sure that's right? And I will tell you right now, I understand that Gen Z and boomers complaining about millennials is a trope. So when I roll at millennials, I'm very careful about it, because I understand that, a lot of people like to be just like, millennials are terrible. That's not how I feel, right? I feel that millennials are making choices that are frustrating to me, right? But I am paying attention. I'm trying to understand why they're making these choices, right? And I think at the macro level, millennials are choosing not to vote, right? And for a long time, that's been frustrating to me. But I really think Last Christmas explains it. And after I saw Last Christmas, I was like, oh my gosh, I fully understand why a millennial would choose not to vote. And frankly, it may actually be a very, very respectable response after understanding their situation, as displayed, as explained, as illuminated by Last Christmas. Let's get into this. All right, Last Christmas is an absolutely amazing film, okay? Now, it is a love story, okay? And let's just talk about it this way. So first and foremost, right, this stars Emilia Clarke, right? So she has a name in the movie. I have no idea what that name is. I don't remember it. When I see Emilia Clarke, it doesn't matter that she's set in a modern day romance movie. She's still the Queen of Dragons, right? She will always be Khaleesi, period. All right. Okay. So the Queen of Dragons is in this romance movie, right? And this romance movie is a millennial romance film, right? And at the end of this millennial romance film, Emilia Clarke, the Queen of Dragons, is alone. There's no resolution of the romance, right? She is alone, fully alone. That is the end of this millennial romance movie, right? And that's pretty shocking, right? Because Emilia Clarke is a shiny person, right? She's young, thin, and symmetrical, right? There's no reason in the world she should not be able to find love, right? But this movie showed, she's a millennial. There's a lot of reasons she will not find love. A ton, right? And when we're done showing you this, you're going to understand why millennials don't do a lot of things, right? And it did. I couldn't believe how clear this makes the obstacles, the struggles, and more than anything else, the complexity that millennials face today. All right, so let's get into this. So one, I'm kind of, I have done this in the past, and I haven't done it I don't think I've been cruel when I've done this, but I've been one of those people who are like, millennials, they're not getting married and not having kids, right? And it's frustrating to me. I'm like, hey, why aren't millennials getting married and having kids? Like, it's pretty obvious, right? Like, and I was looking through that incredibly narrow, ancient model that I went through, right? And I'm going to talk about my model real quick, all right? So my model was, when I was a young man, I looked out, right? And I said, oh, hey, I have parts. That person have parts. If our parts come together, right? If we have a ritual and then our parts come together, we 2 people will be 3 people, right? And then we'll be a family. And when me and that person have been intimate, and we now have a third person, our community, we are going to celebrate that. Our community is going to celebrate that. And our nation will even reward that, right? Through taxes and a whole bunch of other structures, right? And so all of this is good. And I went down that road. I went down that incredibly ancient model, right? Of, hey, I'm a person with parts. That's a person with parts, right? I like that person. If we come together and we're intimate after the ritual, we will have a third person. That will be good. That will be a moment of celebration for us, a moment of celebration for our communities, and a moment of reward for us at the national level, right? Incredibly ancient model, right? So outrageously simple, right? And I realized after watching this movie, and so Emilia Clarke's in the same boat in the movie, right? She's like, oh, I'm looking at the world, and now I'm going to see if I'm going to go through the ritual, if I'm going to have children, right? But the model, that ancient model, is gone, right? And there's a new model, and that new model offers a tremendous amount of options and freedoms, but also a tremendous amount of complexity. And Emilia Clarke's response, the Queen of Dragons' response to that array of freedom and array of options, is to choose none of them, is to choose to be alone, right? And I couldn't believe it. Like, the movie makes very clear, right, that love is on axes. There are axes that you must navigate to get to love. I'll talk them through, okay? So it is fit, number, safety, purpose, value, okay? So Emilia Clarke starts to move toward, in the film, she starts to move toward the ritual, right? And when I say the ritual, I mean 2 people come together in front of 100 people in a church, right? Or in a secular building with a pastor or a secular officiate, right? And they promise to be together for the rest of their lives, right? That's the ritual. And she's moving toward the ritual, and she's moving toward maybe deciding to be with another person and then make a third person, right? But when she comes to that decision, the new model is understood by her. Okay, so first, when she's like, hey, who do I choose, right? Well, first of all, I chose that incredibly simple, algorithm. I was like, oh, hey, I have parts, that person has parts. If we put those parts together, there's going to be a third person, right? Like, and yeah, right? So, and she understands, so Emilia Clarke, the millennial, she understands the new model. That's ridiculous, right? The Queen of Dragons understands the new model. The fit of the parts means nothing, right? It is not relevant to love, to a love story anymore, right? It's, you can choose anyone, right? The fact that the parts fit and there would be another human being from that has nothing to do with the new model. Nothing, right? That only has to do with that ancient model I chose, which was incredibly simple, right? But her millennial model is far more broad, has far more freedom and far more options, right? She could choose anybody she wants, right? The parts don't have to fit, right? So there's more complexity, okay? All right, so, and then number, right? I was like, hey, there's another person. Like, and we already went through the fit part, right? There's another person. I'm going to choose that other person, all right? There's my choice. Ancient model. So simple. No more complexity, no more freedom, no more options. Simplicity, right? The millennial, okay? Okay, I want to find love. Okay, I'm gonna find a person. Wait. The new model. The millennial understands the new model. I don't need to do one person. I could do 3 people or 5 people, right? Why stop at 1, right? So increased freedom, increased options, increased complexity, safety, right? When I came to my ancient model, so ancient and so simple, right? And I'm saying this from the perspective of I have so much more sympathy for millennials, right? And why they're choosing not to do things, okay? And that's all right. So safety, okay? In the ancient model, I was expected to have had intimacy with no one before the ritual. The person I was going to join was expected to have intimacy with no one before the ritual, right? There was safety in that, right? Because the intimacy that I was going to give after the ritual, the safety that the other person was going to give after the ritual, right? There was a level of safety in that, right? Because when you are, and they showed this in the movie. Last Christmas showed this. The new model, high intimacy with people you don't care about, with high intimacy with many people you don't care about, low or no intimacy with the few people you really care about. All right? That's the new model, right? And the millennials are dealing with this. This is the new understood model, right? So there's a level of safety that I enjoyed, right? And that the person that I joined with enjoyed, that came from that ancient model of the intimacy is after the ritual and the intimacy is 2 people, right? There's some benefits to that, right? There are things that don't spread when you follow that model, right? And some of the things that spread, right, it's a minor issue. Like, you just go get this or that, it helps, no problem, it's taken care of. Some of them will kill you, right? There's a level of safety with the ancient model that the new model, even though millennials understand the new model and the benefits of the new model, they also have this lurking thing. They're like, is there safety in this new model? And people are like, it's safe-ish. There's steps you can take to make it safer, but no one will apply the word safe to that model, right? They'll say these steps can make it safer, right? So there's complexity there, right? So the safety that used to be in the ancient model it's gone, right? That safety doesn't exist in the new model of high intimacy with a lot of people you don't care about, low or no intimacy with people that you really care about, right? It's a new model, right? Not the ancient model, right? The ancient model was just so ancient and so simple, right? But the new model gives way more freedom and way more options, but way more complexity, because the millennial and the Queen of Dragons is in this movie. She has to deal with, she's like, am I going to add this person to the number of people I've been intimate with? I don't care about them, right? But maybe if I'm intimate with this person, I'll feel loved or cherished or not alone, right? And the movie showed that it didn't lead to any of those things, right? None of them. But that's the new model, and the millennial understands this. This is the new model, right? Okay. So safety, purpose, right? So basically, when me and the person I joined with, through the ritual, right? Our purpose was to be bound together forever and to be 2 people who then made another person and another person and another person and another person. That was our purpose, right? The new model, that's an ancient model. The new model, the ritual has nothing to do with that, right? That is not necessary in the new model for 2 people to make a third person. There's no need for the ritual. That's the new model, right? And in the new model, The millennials can have a person with this person, another person with this person, another person with this person, another person with this person, right? More freedom, more options, more complexity. More complexity. All right? Okay. So, and then value, right? When me and the person I joined with went through the ritual and then had another person, we celebrated. We were like, yes, we have a new person. This is such a good thing. And our community came forward, and there were gifts, and there were congratulations, and there were slaps on the back, and they were like, another new person, yay! Our community celebrated with us. And our nation was like, this is a good thing. We reward you through taxes. We reward you through, through tax breaks and through other structures, right? That's gone. That is gone, man. Right? You go through the ritual. You have another person now. You can have no expectation that anybody will accept the value of what just happened. Will value that as a benefit, right? The new model, right? Oh, you had another kid? Great. Now there's a higher carbon footprint. You did the one thing that causes the highest possible carbon footprint a human can create. I question. The community can now just, your own partner can be like, I question the value of what we just did. Your community very likely is going to have people who are like, I question the value of what you just did. You're tearing our earth apart, right? And increasingly, because there are more people who are like, hey, it's not just about you and that new person. It's about the planet, right? There's actually, in that one case, there's actually a little less freedom and less options, but there's definitely more complexity, right? So, I look at it and I see where we've arrived, right? And, basically what the millennial is now going through, it is incredible. I realize now, I'm like, hey, millennial, why don't you do what I did? And I understand. I understand it was shown clearly in Last Christmas. The ancient model is ancient and it's gone. It no longer stands. Right? The new model offers freedom and options and complexity so high that I think the vast majority, so high that the millennial in, Queen of Dragons in Last Christmas was like, this complexity is so incredibly high, I will choose to be alone. I will make myself a better person. I will help those around me. I will be kind and I will be alone, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that makes sense, right? Because millennials, they don't have that ancient model that had so much simplicity in it, right? They come to the choice and they're like, who's gonna fit with me? It doesn't matter who's gonna fit with you. You choose whoever you choose, right? Like, it doesn't matter if the parts fit. That's no longer part of the model, right? They're going to be like, should I have a partner? No. Should you have a partner? Should you have 3 partners? Should you have 5 partners? Right? And the next one, is there going to be safety? Right? In my model, there was some assurance there would be safety. Right? Not 100%, sure. I mean, but more assurance. Right? And so there was an assurance of safety that is no longer here, right? And so they're like, is this safe? Is it safe to proceed, right? Is this new model of high intimacy with a large number of people I don't care about and low or no intimacy with the few people I do care about, is that safe? It's a very valid question, right? The next one is purpose. What is the purpose of this, right? When I got married, we knew the purpose, right? We would be together forever. And the two of us would become 3 and become 4 and become 5 and become 6. That was our purpose. We knew that going in. Now, there's no need for the ritual for that, right? And so while there's more freedom and more options, there's more complexity. And then the last one is value. When we had our children, we celebrated. The community celebrated with us. The nation rewarded it. Now, none of that is going to be there for them, right? So the reality is understanding the new model, right? I 100% understand why millennials say no. This is so complex. I have no confidence I can make each of these 5 choices correctly, right? There's no simplicity here. Like, even with that old simple model, so many people screwed it up. With this new, incredibly complex model, what hope do I possibly have of getting this right? And they're right. Their hope is they have virtually none. There's almost no possibility that a millennial today will go through those 5 choices, make all the right choices, and come through the other side in a situation where they have love and meaning and safety and purpose and fit, right? Now and that's the point. Like, none of those are even relevant to love anymore in the new model. None of them are even relevant, right? So this movie showed a millennial who comes to this situation and goes, no, I'm not going to choose. I'm not going to choose through all this complexity. I'm not even going to try. I will be alone, right? And when I saw it, I was like, that's the right choice. That's 100% the right choice. Never in my life have I've been saying in my head, yes, millennials should be alone. They should not be with people. Under this new model, shooting the gap and getting it right is virtually impossible. It was always hard, but under the new model, it is virtually impossible, right? So they should be alone. Why does that excuse? Now, why does Andrew Yang? Why do we as voters, why do we need to understand that this may excuse them from voting? Oh my gosh, it really kind of does excuse them from voting. They are the first generation who are like, oh my gosh, no way. There's no way I should be married or have kids, ever. I should get ready for a life alone. If I was facing that at 25, I wouldn't be thinking about voting. I'd be thinking about stabilizing myself and getting ready for a life of aloneness. And I would want the people around me to understand that. And now seeing Last Christmas, I understand that. And I really have more respect for millennials who choose not to vote. I have more respect for millennials who choose not to get up in the morning. Their world is so much, it has more freedoms, more options, but the complexities are so high that by the numbers of them shooting the gap, it's almost impossible they're going to get it right. And so when they choose not to do things, they have a darn good reason for it. Andrew Yang needs to understand that. We need to understand that. And shockingly, walking out of the movie Last Christmas, I have more respect for millennials who are walking away from the process because their world is different. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.